KUAW.org or go to the TuneIn app and search KUAW. Listen to us. We're on 24 hours a day. That's KUAW Radio.
Hello, everyone. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
It is Valentine's Day, and we are here to share, inspire, empower, uplift, whatever you would have, whatever God gives us. We're just so blessed. I'm just so blessed to be here with my husband of almost 24 years and together for 25 and counting.
25 and counting.
25 and counting. I am just
yes.
Wow, truly amazed and blessed.
I agree.
Wow.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time, but it doesn't seem that long to me.
No, it doesn't. I love story, I tell you.
So he's got his version and I've got mine.
Of course. So,
I'm going to let him go first, and then I'm going to interrupt as I usually do. So,
well, and we're going to change the script here because actually this time I'm going to let my wife go first. It's Valentine's Day. And so she's going to go first with how we met.
You are always doing the most. You are always doing the most.
Go from there.
Well, let me just say, okay, so, wow. Kevin and I are a real life story of all of those platforms of Harmony. What is it? Harmony.com. I don't know if it's Harmony, When People Meet, Black People Meet, Tumblr. I don't know, all those different platforms where people can meet online. And we actually met in 1996, January of 1996, 25 years ago last month. That was us meeting what you could call virtually. We met over the phone. I had never seen him before. And so February of 1996 is 25 years ago that we physically met. Or did we physically meet in March? Why would I ask you? He wouldn't know.
No.
He wouldn't know. But no, we physically met in March of 1996. And I tell you, wow. So let's just back up. How do we even get a chance to talk on the phone? Well, thank you to my beautiful childhood friend, Tamala Handy. Miss Handy convinced me to meet this man who I didn't care what he looked like. I didn't need to know anything about his description because I had it made up in my mind that I was completely done with the fifth limb. You can catch that later. So she said, what do you have to lose? And I said, I don't have anything to lose. I really don't need to meet him because I'm done. I don't want to meet anyone. And she said, well, you have nothing to lose. Just give him a phone call. I actually said, okay. After her saying, what do you have to lose? And she tried to explain how he looked. And I said, stop right there. So I didn't even know how he looked. And I gave him a phone call just to say, okay, Tamala, I'll do it. So I gave him a phone call, and that phone call lasted for 25 years.
That was a long phone call. Man,
that was a long phone call.
We never hung up. Do you hear me? We never hung up. Oh my God.
We never hung up.
Crazy.
So, hey, Tamala, she's tuned in. Hey, we love you so very much for putting us together. God literally used Tamala to put us together. So I gave him a phone call, and then we talked on the phone for, we can both agree to this, 30 days, correct?
Correct.
30 days. Did not know how he looked, did not get a description from Tamala or him, because it just didn't matter to me. And so we talked all day, not all day, but all night, because he had a night shift. And I had a newborn baby. And my newborn had her days and nights mixed up. And so I was up all night with her. And it was just great because he was there with me. And I had never even met this man. Didn't even know what he looked like. But we had such great conversation. And I'm going to fast forward, literally fell in love with this person who I had no face in my mind. All I had was his personality. I had his character. I had his conversation. I would get butterflies when the phone would ring. I would get just so anxious if I hadn't talked to him. And I just fell in love with him over the phone. Never told him that, though. And then after 30 days, I'm going to let you take it from here. On the phone, he said, we have to meet. And I said, no, I love it like it is. I was so happy and smitten. I didn't even know what this man looked like, but I felt good. And I felt appreciated and loved.
She says. So she
what
says.
What are you talking about?
So she says, because there's a point in your life where you have to move forward. Okay. We had talked for 30 days. Listen, 30 days. Okay. So there wasn't anything that she didn't know. There wasn't anything that we did not discuss. And anyone that pretty much knows me, they know that, I can be crazy. Some things I say, is crazy.
Very.
Okay. The people that really know me. Most people think I'm real cool and I'm real calm and all this, but we had a great conversation for 30 days. And I was at the point where I just said, we need to move forward. We need to see each other. And so she was a little bit apprehensive. But before we go there, before we go to all of that, wrap your head around a young African-American male with no children, okay, coming back from Atlanta, Georgia, the ATL, to Kansas City, Missouri, okay. I had been on enough roller coaster rides in that time that I wasn't really seriously looking for anything myself. And this was the first time in my life that I would have ever allowed myself to engage in a conversation for 30 days with a person I did not see, when we know that men are very visual. Let's agree, all men are very visual.
Yeah.
Okay. And so was I. And so I knew that I was at a point in my life of change. I was at a crossroad in my life of change when I allowed myself to indulge in this wonderful conversation for 30 days, and taking in and accepting everything that was put out there, just genuine conversation, and so we saw each other.
Well, how did we see each other?
Well, she said, let's meet at.
No. I did not say let's meet. You said let's meet. You said it's time for us to meet, correct?
Well, I can't. I guess I did say that.
Yeah. So I loved it the way it was. He wanted to meet physically. I did not want to meet physically because I loved it the way it was. We had no arguments. We had no disagreements. Everything was peaches and cream because we had not physically come together to see each other or interact with each other other than on the phone. So he said, we have nothing else to talk about. And I think Tamala made a comment, dang, aren't y'all tired of talking? Well, I wasn't tired of talking. I think he was ready to talk and see each other. So anyway, he said, let's meet. And at the time I lived on the plaza and I said, okay, I don't want to meet him anywhere that's not far from my house, I'll just, let's meet on the plaza. And I took my newborn baby. And let me say something about that, because this is for singles. I had said that we got some for singles too. And so, I had asked him while we were on the phone before we ever saw each other, why would you be interested in me? I have a brand new baby. Why would you be interested in me? And he said, you have luggage that I can see. He said, I have luggage that you can't see. And I looked at the phone and I was like, God, who is this man? Saying this to myself. And God said, that's your husband. And I was like, okay, what? I've never even seen this man before. And so I just kind of let that go over my head. But I clearly heard God tell me that he was my husband. And so when I agreed to meeting him at Houlihan's on the plaza, which is now something else, some other restaurant, I took my baby and I was there waiting for him to come in. And when he came in, I knew that was him. I was like, oh my God. So as soon as I looked at him, God said again, that is your husband. And I said, what? He said, that other is what you were doing. This is what I'm doing. And I just said, oh my God. So he came over to the table smiling and sit down. And he's just talking. And I can't really hear what he's saying. Because in my mind, I'm saying, oh my God, that's my husband. I was saying, oh my God, that's my husband to myself. I just kept saying, oh my God, this is my husband. I was so excited, you guys. And so I was trying to keep it cool, calm, and collect. Now, ladies, let me tell you, I did not share that with him.
Okay, let's go back a few steps. Let's go back just a few steps. And when we met, when I met her in the plaza, now this is pretty embarrassing. Now I'm just going to share something I'm going to throw it on out there. I'm going to throw it out there.
Tell me this until we were married for 12 years.
Now, I got there early. I went into a store across the street just to look across to see who I was actually going to meet and what this lady actually looked like, because I hadn't seen any pictures of her either. And so when because I recognized the car, she told me, we talked enough. I knew what type of car she drove. She pulled up, and when she got out, I literally almost got hit by a car running across the street. Now,
he's crazy.
She was so fine, I almost got hit by a couple of cars. You hear me? Yes. We're talking about then. You fine now, but we're talking about then. Listen. So that was actually.
I had no idea of that. We were married, this is the God's honest truth, about 12 years before he even told me that he was watching me cross the street. So anyway, I just thought that was funny. But the date was really nice. We talked, and I was thinking in my mind, oh my God, I hope it doesn't end. And he asked me to go to the movies after we ate. And I was thinking, yes. Now, mind you, my baby, she was had her days and nights mixed up. For real. She slept the entire time. And I was nursing. And so for those of you that have nursed or know anything about it, I was getting engorged. And I just went with it. It didn't get really bad until the end of the night. Our date started at 3:00 p.m. and it ended at midnight. And he walked me to the door of my apartment. And when I went in, I immediately had to pump because I was just so engorged, but it was so worth it. And so that was our very first date, and it lasted literally for 25 years.
Yes, it did.
I knew when I saw him that he was my husband. I knew before I saw him that he was my husband. And that's a point that I want to make to a lot of women in waiting. Wives in waiting is what I call you, or women in waiting. You will know if you have a personal relationship with God. He will let you know if this is your husband. And oftentimes we try to make it fit with people that we are with, and it doesn't. And we make excuses. And we ask God to show us signs. You know, every time I would ask God to show me a sign when I was with the wrong person, he would. And oftentimes I would try to make an excuse for it or something like that. And so every time that I asked God to show me a sign with my husband, he would. And it was always a yes, every time. I was so afraid of that trust, putting that trust in him, that I self-sabotaged our relationship while we were dating. Yeah, I sure did, because I was like, this couldn't be true. You know, after going through what I had went through, there was a piece of me that I didn't realize I didn't feel I was worthy of this man, of what he was offering me. Nothing but love. Even to this day, I mean, nothing but love. Woke up and fixed me breakfast this morning, made surprise reservations for us. I mean, I'm not trying to brag or boast on my husband or what we have. What I'm saying is, when you listen and hear the voice of God, there are blessings attached to it. And if you are in a relationship where you're trying to make it work, you're in the wrong relationship. Because true love and God's agape love is not hard. It's easy.
And that's where I personally feel that sometimes in many relationships, when you talk about levels of love and the different, you know, you got Euros, you got agape. I think a lot of people start off with the Euros love.
Tell them what that is, honey. Maybe they don't know.
Okay. Let me give you the real.
And while he looks that up,
okay, it's passionate.
Found it.
Oh yeah, I was already there.
See, he's never so ready.
It's erotic, passionate love is Euros. Men mostly operate that way. Let's keep it real. We pretty much, we can sugarcoat it. We can put another name to it. But everyone that tells you that they love you, be careful, because in all reality, there's only one agape. Okay. And you have Euros. You can have passionate love, and though that's limited, you know, it has an end date to it. You know, it's conditioned. It doesn't last. You know, it's, you know, you got to be real careful with that. And a lot of ladies, you know, I think the blessing between us, honestly, I can honestly say the blessing was us talking for 30 days without seeing each other. Mm-hmm. Because there are people meeting other people online and physically meeting them 2 days after. And the conversation is so great and so, you know, passionate. Mm-hmm. They move to another level when they should not.
Wow.
They move to another level when they should not.
Wow. That's
because
good.
You're mixing love signals. Don't mix your love signals with anyone.
That's good, honey. That is so good.
And I find that being, and so let's just hypothetically say that you do mix it. And let's just say that you walk into a relationship on Euros love instead of agape. Now you're asking God for somebody that is not showing you the same type of love. Wow. And you have to take on that. You have to take on that, and you have to take on everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that comes with that. And so the many that are listening, or the many that you know, there's one thing about me is I always try to keep it real. I always try to keep it real when I'm talking to a lot of brothers. And you know, I tell people all the time that true character is unsupervised.
Oh, that's good.
True character is unsupervised. Okay, now you think about that. Now, we've been hiding for a long. Men have a lot of luggage. We have a lot of things that we deal with mentally and physically. There's a lot that we deal with in our marriages. And then men, especially men that are single, because you can get tied up in yourself. Sometimes you got to get out of your own way.
Yeah.
You got to get out of your own way to find somebody for you. You know, and so what I'm saying is that most of our issues that we deal with as men, it starts with self-maintenance. It starts with self-maintenance. I'm talking about the issues that you have with the person that you're with. I'm talking about those issues that you may be unhappy with the person that you're with. Your issues can be resolved by self-maintenance.
How can they self-maintain or self-maintain? What are you saying?
Okay. Self-maintenance is basically looking at how you handle things. Looking at how you do things, how you say things. Looking at, are you there for your wife? Listening to everything that she basically says, or are you just present? Are you just existing? Okay, are you hearing what she says? Okay, are you acknowledging that you understand or hear what she's saying? See, I suffered from all those things at the beginning of my relationship. And so the greatest thing that you can do in a relationship is grow as a person.
Ooh.
That's the greatest thing that you can do. And how do you grow? You grow in the Word of God.
Ooh.
You grow in the Word of God. If the man grows in the Word of God, he's going to graduate his marriage.
Oh, that's good.
He's going to graduate his marriage. I can't show you any other way.
That's so good.
Because I'm telling you, if I could show you any other way, I've tried it.
And let me just say this on my husband's behalf. You know, we dated for 1 year, 1 solid year. He was whining and dining me, would not let me pay for anything. But early on in our dating, he took me out and asked me face to face, would I like to be in a committed relationship with him? I was so honored and blessed by that. Of course, you know, we were acting as if we were already that, but it wasn't said. So what am I saying? I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, if you are spending a lot of time with someone and you think that you're the one and you think that you guys have something, but it has not been stated, you need to have that verbal commitment with each other so that you can know where you are and you can know where you stand. Because if you are spending a lot of time with him and you find out he's been spending some time with someone else and he says, well, we've never committed. That's on you, Sister Sledge. That's on you, brother man, because you need to have a verbal commitment for every step of the relationship. Would you agree?
Correct.
And so I said, yes. We can be in a committed relationship. I felt like we were already doing that. So next came, and let me just say this first too. He took me out probably 12 times, 12, before he even graced the inside of my apartment. Yep. You know, women don't forget numbers. We don't forget numbers, and we know what dates and we know what times. And so I asked him, you never come in, and he always, sees me off at the door. And he says, I don't want to come in because I don't want to disrespect you. And I was thinking in my mind, you've never disrespected me. But he knew what his struggles were. He knew what his
absolutely, absolutely. And the thing is that, like I said, you know, you can, regardless of your character, you always know how to do things the right way. And the reason I say that is this: for all those women that are in relationships on social media or online, these dating sites, and they say, okay, listen, I got 25 great questions to ask him.
Yeah.
Okay, listen to me. A man knows how to answer great questions.
Or hard questions.
Listen, hard questions, difficult questions.
Yeah.
That's not difficult.
Mm-hmm.
That's not difficult for a savvy brother. For a savvy person, that's not hard.
Mm-hmm.
So don't allow those list of questions to be your God.
Oh, that's good.
Is what I'm telling you. Don't allow your questions to be your God. You're going to make another fatal mistake.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And so we're talking about hearing the voice of God versus asking all these questions. Well, I'm going to be real transparent. When we spent 30 days over the phone and spent this year of courting together, I didn't have any questions for my husband. They all came through conversation, and they all came through spending time together once we started spending time together. Okay. So there was never anything verbal said about we're talking about marriage. So I hear this a lot. I hear that people are together for many years and we've been talking about marriage. We've been talking about marriage. Well, our story is a little bit different when it comes to marriage, because we never in 1 year of courting said the word marriage. We never talked about marriage. We never spelt the word marriage. We never assumed that we were going to be married. We were enjoying each other in the committed dating time that we had set and having a beautiful time. In my mind, I'm just waiting for the question, because God told me he was my husband before I ever saw him. And so once I saw him, God told me again several times, even when I tried to mess up the relationship because I had these insecurities within myself that this possibly couldn't be true. This has to be a fraud. This has to be a fake. This man, he's just treating me so well. We never talked about marriage. So we're riding along, and I'm going to give you a visual. We're riding along, baby girl's in the back seat, in her car seat. Okay, we are 1 year into our dating relationship. He gives me a beautiful card. It talks about how a tree is planted and how it grows with love and blah, 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 blah. And then he would always give me cards, and he would write his own message after the message that's printed in the card. So he had written his own message after the printed message. And it asked, after he said all these things, will you marry me? And he's driving. We're on 53rd and Prospect. You know, women don't forget. Yeah, that's where we are. We were going down 71, and he turned right on 53rd and Prospect when he gave me the card to exit off. And so I read the card and I said, I'm stuttering. This says, he says, I know what it says. I wrote it. I said, but we've never talked about marriage. We've never even talked about it. And he said something so profound. Ladies, get this and get it good. He said, what's to talk about if you're not going to do it? He said, give me an answer and then we can talk about it. Ladies, I need you to get the question first before you talk about it. Come on, somebody. So I said, yes. He said, let's talk about it. There'll never be a divorce unless you leave me. He said, we've talked about it. Are we good? And I said, yes. He took a right turn and he started going north. And I said, where are we going? He said, we're going to your parents' house to set the date. And I said, this is March of 1996. You know, most people plan their wedding a year. Well, my mother, she did weddings and planned weddings and all of that. And he says, no, I want to be married this summer. Okay, ladies, it's March. Summer's 3 months away. I said, okay. When a man's mind is made up, I'm going to let you talk, honey.
Well, for men, Men will always know when they have the right person. Men will always know. Men will always know. With my personality, with the way that I do things, I have kind of like an artistic personality. I like unique things. I like to talk about, the way I write things in letters, and then I kind of expound on it afterwards. Our personalities was so a lot in sync or alike that it was pretty amazing. I mean, it was amazing. Now, let me say that. Let me tell you how important that is. You want to line up as many things as possible that work together before you get together. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Because there's so many untouched things that you have to deal with while you're married. There's so many different things that you have to deal with in your marriage. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Such as forgiveness for the things we do in our marriage. Mm-hmm. The things we say that we can't retract because we don't understand the power of words. Mm-hmm. All the arguments, the disagreements, all those things, those are real things that come in marriages. Let's just keep it real. Let's lay it out there. Mm-hmm. All these things come within a marriage. Mm-hmm. So how do you stay? Mm-hmm. How do you stay unprepared? Mm. Walking into a marriage unprepared. Mm. You think that you can hold this thing together
on your own.
On your own with all the things that you deal with. There's no self-maintenance going on. There's no marital maintenance going on. There's nothing going on. But somehow you're trying to make it one day. Those marriages just seem to exist. Mm. And I couldn't be in a marriage like that. I had to be in a marriage where we enjoyed each other. We still laugh. We still have fun. We kind of sync. We can argue, we can disagree, but at the same time, we can love each other at the end of the day, and it covers it all. Mm-hmm. And we forget about it and we move on. Mm-hmm. That's what I was after.
And let me tell you, we are a loving couple, but we do have arguments. We do get on each other's nerve. But the thing about it is, you have to mission and commit to staying in the love walk, regardless of what is said or done. That is how you stay in a marriage. You commit to staying in the love walk. And I will honestly say that my husband cannot be mad at me long. And this is the key. And he already knows it since he heard me talking about it on my prayer line with my prayer warrior sisters. I didn't know that he heard me, but he did. But I have the secret. And the secret is, ladies, just get quiet. Get quiet when your husband is not giving you what you want. I can ask my husband, no, we ain't doing that. I don't care what you say. We ain't doing that. He just, he's strong with it. He's real strong. He's strong with it, with his voice and with his demeanor. And
I'm not having that.
Yeah, that's that.
I'm not doing
that. Yeah, I'm not doing that. It could be just,
forget it. It ain't happening.
Yeah, it ain't happening.
And guess what? It ends up happening.
It ends up happening, ladies, because I hold the key to the temperature of my house, honey. Yes, I do. I hold the key to the temperature of my home. And what I do is I get quiet. I get quiet and I talk to the Lord about it. And before you know it, this man comes in the room wherever I am, and I make sure that I don't leave the house if I'm mad. Don't leave the house if you're mad. Don't do that. Go into another room. Because you could leave your house if you're mad and get in a car accident and leave here, and then what? Get in a car accident and get fatally, critically injured, then what? It's not worth it. Go into another room. Don't leave the home when you get mad.
Your house is blessed.
Your house is blessed.
You leave your house, you leave your blessing.
Oh, that's good.
You leave your blessing.
That's good.
out of anger.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we all know, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you leave your house,
mm-hmm.
who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who knows?
You have to be committed. I see Tamla, I see all your comments. Thank you so much for being engaged. Thank you, Nisi. Thank you for being engaged. For all of you that are tuned in, thank you so much. Yes, heard somebody say that Tamla says she missed the commitment part. That's the part that she missed. And that's okay. Well, you got it now, sis. You have to be committed, not just to your spouse or your mate, but committed to God in the love walk. Because my husband spoke about it earlier, the agape love is what's going to hold your marriage together. Unconditional love is agape love. And it's going to hold. My husband has hurt me. I have hurt him. We have said things to hurt each other. But the key is love and forgiveness. Amen?
Amen.
Love and forgiveness. You cannot be married for almost 25 years. 2, 1. Without having some type of interaction where you've hurt each other or said something, So you have to maintain commitment to God, yourself, and to your mate. That's how we stay together. When he told me, when he asked,
well, that's how we have a healthy marriage.
Yeah.
That's how let me say this again. That's how you have a healthy marriage. There are marriages, unhealthy marriages out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of them. And so that's how you keep your marriage healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Is being able to forgive and support and listen
mm-hmm.
and apologize and
apologize.
Stay in prayer.
Apologize. I'm going to be real transparent with you. My husband is a better apologizer than I am. I don't have a problem apologizing, but he'll apologize first, and he's just so silly with it too, y'all. He'll just get on his knees and get on the floor, talk about you got me prostrate on the floor. He just acted a complete nut. But it's funny, and it's what maintains the marriage. You have to have some humor in there too.
Right. You can't believe what she said when I was prostrate. Get up. You ain't this ain't real. You just acted.
But it's what makes it so funny, and it makes it so fun, and with him, if I get quiet, ladies, like I was saying earlier, I hold the key to the temperature of our home. If I get quiet, he can't handle it. He cannot handle it. He cannot handle me getting quiet. And so he'll come in and say, well, we're gonna yeah, we can do that if you like. And it's as if he never say it with your voice. It ain't happening.
It ain't happening.
And it just gonna happen.
It ain't happening.
And it's gonna happen because
and it's gonna happen. It ends up happening anyway.
It ends up happening.
And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of Black love. That's the beauty of what we share is being able to be mad and be able to still love each other while we mad. Listen, if you don't plan on getting mad, don't get married. Mm-hmm. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Listen, because you have to. Yeah, go ahead, honey.
Ebony says she's learning how to be apologetic. Yes, just say, I'm sorry, honey. And I can recall a time recently where I really hurt my hubby's feelings, and I really wasn't trying to. But I did, and I could see the hurt in his face. Oh my God, it just broke my heart. Baby, I'm just so sorry. He was like, it's okay. And I was like, no, I really am. I'm just so sorry. And he was like, it's okay. I said, no, it's not okay. When you really love your mate and you hurt them, it will hurt you that you hurt them.
That's a very true statement. And that's what causes, that's why it's so important to be engaged with your wife is because in those moments of disagreement and words that hurt each other, it will literally hurt you.
Yeah.
To hurt your wife, because biblically you are hurting yourself when you say those things. Mm-hmm. You're hurting yourself because you're speaking to yourself. Mm. She is you.
Mm. One
flesh. And so that pain, it just that's a pain that that, when you're truly in sync, that's what you feel. And so you just go rectify, you go make up, you go fix it, make the adjustments, make the mental adjustments, make adjustments to and then for the most part for men is you have to have time. Mm-hmm. You got to make time out of your day to work on yourself. Man,
it's
man, it is, man, you cannot get that back. You've got to take the time out and work on everything in yourself.
Yeah. Fill your cup.
Man, you got to work. You got to walk in that word. You got to listen. You got to meditate on it. Mm. You got to chew on some of that word, man. And then you got to play. And then you got to sow that word into somebody. You got to, you have to give that word out. And so, and it helps you.
Yeah.
It grows you. It helps you. It strengthens you. It empowers you. All those things. And of course, we didn't get all of this starting out in our marriage. This is all through growth, through the growth of marriage, just the growth of being in marriage, just sustaining, making things happen, not being settled with just the way things are, not allowing our marriages just to exist.
And I think a key to us continuing to grow in our marriage, actually, I know a key is that we have always had a personal relationship with Jesus Christ individually and together. And together it has grown. And so we were always active members of a church home, tithers, believers, praying over our marriage, praying over each other, praying over our children, praying over our family, praying over our dreams and our desires. I'm the founder of a nonprofit. And he is one of my very biggest supporters next to my mom. He's not in the forefront with it like me, but he supports my visions. He supports my dreams. I support his. We support each other. And you just don't get that on your own, and it continue to grow. You have to grow in Christ, You
must grow in Christ.
Yeah.
It's so important. That component is so important because there are certain components like that in the marriage that can cause a marriage actually to go apart, to drive two people apart. And they can be driven apart by envy. They can be driven apart by jealousy. They can be driven apart by insecurities. Okay? When you have someone that's just moving forward, and it's such a blessing for me to allow my wife to walk in her gift. Walk in your gift. God wants us to walk in our gift. And so if it's, if I can allow for this to happen, if I can make this happen, I need for you to walk in your gift. It blesses your family when you're walking in your gift. Amen. And so, it's a blessing to be supportive. It's a blessing to be a covering for it. It's a blessing to be part of it. That's the greatest blessing is to see the lives that you're touching when it happens.
Yeah.
That right there is one of the greatest growth. The greatest thing that we can do in this earth is give.
Oh, that's good.
That's the greatest thing that you can ever do in this lifetime is give.
Your life to Christ and to others.
That's all.
Amen.
So it does something to you when you're helping somebody.
Yes, 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 yes. Wow. I love it. I love it. Wow. 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 I absolutely love it. Let me tell you, when we got married, and we planned our wedding in 4 months. So he asked me in March. And again, for those of you that may have just tuned in, we had never talked about the word marriage, anything about it until he asked me. And the talk about it was to talk about if you're not going to do it. My answer was yes. He said, there'll never be a divorce unless you leave me. that was our conversation about marriage. We known each other for 1 year. And so we got married July 19th, 1997. And July is about to come up, and it will be 24 years that we were married, 25 years together this month. God is gracious. He's awesome.
Yes, he is. Yes,
and what most people do is they want this huge wedding, which we had. We had a huge wedding. My mother is big on that. We had a huge wedding, planned it in 4 months. But God was invited, not only to the wedding, but into the marriage. And oftentimes people are so excited about the dress, the veil, the bridesmaids' dresses, how everybody's going to look, the venue, the food, and all of that, which we had all of that. But the biggest and most important guest in our marriage and at our ceremony was Jesus Christ. We had our choir sing, about tore the church up. And we walked out on the song, with Jesus on our side, we're going to make it. Dwayne Woods gospel, national recording gospel artist sung For You by Kenny Lattimore, When I Walk Down. Thank you. That will never, ever be forgotten. But when we walked out, when we were leaving the church, my cousin and Dwayne Woods sung, my late cousin, Felicia Harvey, love her, miss her so very much, sung, with Jesus on our side, we're going to make it. And we walked out to that. And that was a commitment in our marriage that we were going to make it come hell, high water. We're going to make it. Because when God is for you, who can be against you? Yes, you're going to have trials. Yes, you're going to have bumps in the road. But it doesn't mean that God can't make them straight. And that is what has happened in our marriage over 25 years together. We have been through, I've been in a fetal position on the floor, and this man got down here with me and said, I have you. I have you. He had me and God had me. That's why I'm here, of my covering. And so, sisters, for you, those of you that are single, I need to share with you. Don't try to make it fit when it doesn't. Let it go. Let it go. You're blocking your blessings. There is one that God has designed for you when you both were in your mother's womb. But you'll never, ever meet that person as long as you're with a blessing blocker.
So how do you let them go?
You let them go by committing to yourself and to God.
Don't ignore the red flags.
Don't ignore it.
Don't ignore no red flags.
And when he shows you the green
attention.
ones, don't push them off like I did at one point. Thank God he stuck around. He knew I had been through so much. But I want you to understand.
It's not about me knowing. Honestly, back then, it wasn't about me knowing that Jessica had been through so much. See, Jessica just didn't know that I had been through so much. See, again, we're talking about things that you can see and things that you can't. So you can always dress up. Mm-hmm. You can dress your issue up.
Yeah.
You can dress your issues up, and trust me, I could dress my issue up to the bone.
And look good.
You hear me? So I had to work on myself. Mm-hmm. I had to work on myself. See, I had to begin to start dressing the inside up. Mm-hmm. That's what I had to do. I had to start working on my inside.
That's good. And when I see my husband in the word, I see him studying the word, I see him, in prayer, and it just does my heart so good, because whatever God gives him is going to benefit him, and it's going to benefit the family. It's going to benefit the body of Christ. Yes, your marriage is going to have issues, your relationship. I know we're talking a lot about marriages because we've been married for so long, but for the singles too, we don't want to leave you out. I said it again. I'll say it again. If you are with the bozo who you're trying to make a Boaz, meaning the man that God has for you. Shame on you. Shame on you. You've got to get to a point in your personal life where you're content with being alone, with being with Jesus Christ, with being in your word, get around some people that you look up to, get around some people that you strive to be like. If you stay with those that are on the same level as you are or below, how can you grow? Get in a Bible believing church. Get in some prayer groups. You know, everybody needs somebody. You can say, I don't need nobody. That's not the truth. That's a lie from the pit. We all need somebody. We all need to encourage each other and be an encourager. So if you are single and you are dating that bozo who you're trying to make your Boaz and you're trying to make it work.
Or if you're just dating someone using world standards. Mm-hmm. If you're just using world standards, let's just say that. If you're using worldly standards instead of biblical standards, you're going to get a different result. You're going to get a different result.
Yeah.
You know, the world is saying that you need a list, and check your list off to narrow your chances of maybe getting a person that's not for you. You know, it's got science set up in chemistry of how a person should meet this right person. And listen,
algorithms.
Algorithm. And let me tell you, marriages are not lasting. They're not lasting with that. They're not lasting.
Well, you know, I've talked a little bit about my husband and I never talking about marriage. I want to ask you, honey, and you can encourage and share your truth about when you knew you wanted to marry me. You didn't talk about it at all. Why didn't you talk about it to me? Why did you just ask? And at what point did you realize that I was your wife?
That's a good question. And we don't have a whole lot of time.
We got 9 minutes.
We got 9 minutes. Okay.
Don't try to get out of it.
No. I would say I realized it probably about a week after we saw each other.
He never told me that.
About a week after we saw each other.
A week?
About a week after we,
because we had talked for 30. With me.
Okay, listen.
Okay, here we go.
This is a radio show. You want to keep. Listen, you have not because you asked not. No, listen. She didn't ask. So I can honestly say, about a couple weeks after we saw each other, it was really resonating that we were supposed to be together. When I introduced her to my mother looked at her and said, and brought a picture. She brought a picture over and showed us with me on the picture with Jessica's parents.
When he was a teenager.
Do you hear me?
When he was a teenager.
Confirmation.
God had never put us together, but our families have been intertwined.
And so with that being said, at 30 years old, how old was I? 30 years old.
You were 29.
I was 20. I was 29. Yeah, 29 years old. Just think about this. You know, I was tired of relationships. I was tired of a lot of different things. And I knew I was tired, or I would have never talked on the phone that long. So again, I was growing little by little. And so I knew that we were meant to be together. And it was just something that I didn't see the sense of like having a huge conversation about. Mm-hmm. I mean, our chemistry was right on point. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything was right on point. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was just like, to me, it was like, well, our next conversation needs to be, let's take the next step. Let's take the next step. And trust me, every young man that takes the next step is nervous. Let me get on the. I'm not telling you to do this with so much confidence. No, I didn't say that. And so I can honestly say I was nervous, and I was nervous when we actually got married. but thankful, but so thankful for making that choice. So thankful for God allowing me to see a woman that loved me for who I was, accepted me, she listened to me. We worked together through lots of issues that was going on. I always had a love for children, so that wasn't an issue at all. So with Brianna, my daughter, being in the scenario, that wasn't very difficult. Think about it. How many children did God let me get away with not having?
Wow.
Think about it. I'm meeting a woman with one child.
And for
how dare I have an attitude or a disposition as if that's some type of baggage?
And that is what I had to accept. I had to get over the fact that it was real, because he wanted to be with someone who had this luggage that you could see, not a 3 or 4 year old. I had a newborn. And so for you all, single mothers with children, let me say this to you. When I was pregnant, I had to make a decision in my mind how I wanted to live, how I wanted to raise my child. And God spoke to me clearly. This man was not in the picture. God spoke to me clearly. He said, Jesus had a stepfather. He told me that. It just kind of, I heard it, but it just kind of went over. Because again, there was no other man in the picture. He wasn't in the picture. So I was like, Jesus had a stepfather. Yeah, his name was Joseph. Okay, never really thought about that, right? The first blended family. Come on, somebody. So when this man told me via phone that I had luggage that he could see, but he had luggage that I couldn't see, and then he followed up with this in another conversation that I forgot to mention. He said, every seed that's been planted, this is my husband saying this to me over the phone. I've never seen him. When I asked him, why would you be interested in me and I have a newborn? He said, every seed that has been planted doesn't have to be watered by the person who planted the seed. I looked at the phone again and I said, God, who is this man? And he said, this is your husband. That's what God told me. And here we sit in a family heirloom home 25 years later.
No mortgage, blessed.
He's my husband. God's word will not return void. When you hear the voice of God, you need to listen and you need to do it at all cost. Malcolm X said, by any means necessary. I say by any means necessary. Get rid of the bozos. Get your stuff, sisters. Get your degree, get your whatever it is you trying to do, your promotion on your job. Get your stuff. Be about your business and be a woman in waiting. Get your stuff together because he's there and you need to be ready. You need to be ready so you don't have to get ready because he's coming. Be encouraged today. Be encouraged. God is love and love is there. It's there. If it's your desire to be married, you will be. But do not be a test drive. Because if a man can test drive you as long as he wants to test drive you, he'll never buy you.
Nope. Never.
Standards. Have standards for yourself. Know what you want and don't settle for less. You don't have to settle. And when you don't settle, God will have you so content with where you are, and you will flourish, and you will flourish, and you will flourish. Just do whatever it is that God tells you to do. I'm going to let my baby close it out.
One other thing. If you do settle, there are some that have settled. Mm-hmm. Don't beat yourself up. Mm-hmm. Don't beat yourself up. Mm-hmm. Lean on the word of God.
Amen.
The word of God can change your whole circumstance. Mm-hmm. It can change your bad decisions.
Thank you, Jesus.
It can change everything that's circling your marriage, your relationship, and what decisions you've made. So don't beat yourself up for anyone that has made the wrong choices.
Amen.
Don't beat yourself up.
Amen.
You brush yourself off.
Amen.
In the Word of God.
Amen. Thank you all. You guys have been wonderful with your comments. Evangelist Marquita Forbush, Cousin Nisi, Tamala, thank you for introducing us. Tamala Handy introduced us, my childhood friend, my lifetime sister. I love you to life. Thank you, Rebecca Allen. Thank you all for tuning in. God bless you. God bless your marriage. I'm on a mission to pray for marriages. We're praying for marriages. We're praying for singles. Listen, if you would like to reach out to me, please do so. I am on Facebook. You can also reach me through KUAW Radio. I'll be on every first and third Sunday of the month from 5 to 6 p.m. on Jessica Lynn Speaks Life on KUAW Radio. Thank you all so much. Love you and be blessed.
All right, you're listening to KUAW